Nike, Alex Ayala, Georgina Camus, merch.
I feel so honored and I feel so
20 years old, no entourage, no publicist spinning every word. Just a girl from the Philippines sitting alone with her phone at midnight, trying to figure out how to tell $3 billion corporations that she needed them to back off. That moment, that quiet, exhausted post on Instagram, is what this whole story really comes down to. But to understand why it mattered so much, you have to go back to where Alex started, because nothing about her rise was supposed to happen this fast. 3 years ago, she was grinding through ITF satellite tournaments in small European towns that most tennis fans couldn't find on a map. No camera crews, no sponsorship banners, no viral moments. Just a teenage girl from Manila hauling her racket bag through airports, playing matches in front of crowds that were sometimes smaller than her high school class back home. The Philippines had never really produced a tennis star at this level. The infrastructure wasn't there, the funding wasn't there, and the pathway from promising junior to legitimate WTA contender is brutal even for players who have every advantage. Alex had talent, but talent alone doesn't explain what happened next. What happened next was a kind of quiet, relentless refusal to accept the ceiling everyone else had placed on her. She won the US Open Junior title in 2022, and something shifted. Not overnight, not dramatically, but scouts started paying closer attention. Agents started making calls. And by the time 2024 rolled into 2025, her ranking was climbing in a way that was impossible to ignore. She cracked the top 50 in early 2026, and suddenly the conversation changed entirely. She wasn't a prospect anymore. She was a phenomenon, and the timing could not have been more significant. Women's tennis had been quietly hungry for a new face in Asia. Naomi Osaka had stepped back from the spotlight. The Chinese market was already locked up with its own stars. And here was Alex, 20 years old, fearless from the baseline, with a story that felt almost too perfect for marketing. The underdog from a country of over 100 million people who had never had a tennis champion to rally around. That is an advertiser's dream. And the advertisers came. Nike had been with her since she was 16. Nothing extravagant, just the steady equipment, an apparel deal that kept her in swooshes while she developed. Babolat supplied her rackets, which is the kind of partnership most young players would be deeply grateful for. It was stable, it was supportive, and for a while it was enough. But stability has a way of attracting attention from people who want to disrupt it. Wilson Tennis had been watching her rise carefully, and by January 2026, they were ready to move. Not with a polite inquiry, with an $8 million offer spread over 4 years, full equipment rights, exclusive image rights across the Asia-Pacific market, and a commitment to fund tennis academies in the Philippines under her name. Read that last part again, because it matters. They weren't just offering her money. They were offering her a legacy, the chance to build something that outlasted her playing career, to give Filipino kids access to courts and coaching that most of them would never otherwise see. It was a genuinely compelling vision, but Wilson attached one condition that made the whole thing complicated. She had to cut Babolat loose immediately. No transition period, no graceful exit. Sign with us, and Babolat is done. Her agent knew this was going to be painful. Babolat hadn't just written a check and handed her a bag of rackets. They had flown her to their facilities in France. They had built her custom equipment. They had treated her, by every account, like she was already a champion before the rankings reflected it. Dropping them felt less like a business decision and more like ending a friendship. And then, before her team had even finished processing Wilson's offer, Babolat found out. They always find out. Within 2 days, their executives were on a call laying out a counter. $6 million over 3 years, plus equity in their Asian expansion. Less money up front, but they were offering her a stake in something bigger than a sponsorship. They were offering partnership. And then Nike, who had apparently been watching all of this unfold with growing alarm, decided they were not going to sit quietly while their athlete became someone else's centerpiece. Their offer was the most aggressive of all, $12 million over 5 years, which by any measure was the richest endorsement package ever put on the table for a Filipino athlete. But Nike didn't want to fight over rackets. They wanted the apparel rights, the lifestyle rights, the cultural identity. They wanted to position Alex not as a tennis player, but as a global icon, alongside the biggest names in sport. The catch was that Nike needed her to stay with Babolat for equipment. If she went to Wilson, Nike would walk. So now the decision wasn't just about money. It was about what kind of career she wanted and what kind of person she wanted to be. 3 giants, 3 visions, and a 20-year-old in the middle trying to figure out which future she was actually choosing. And then someone talked. February 4th, 2026, a Tennis Insider account posted a screenshot of Wilson's confidential offer. Every line item, the signing bonus, the performance clauses, the academy funding, all of it out in the open for 50,000 retweets and counting. Within hours, Babolat's counter-offer leaked too. Then Nike's. What had been a private negotiation between professionals became a global spectacle before Alex had even made a decision. The reaction in the Philippines was immediate and overwhelming. Pride. First, millions of people seeing for the first time that one of their own was worth this kind of investment, that she had become valuable enough for the biggest brands in the world to fight over publicly. That feeling was real, and it was beautiful. But pride curdled fast into pressure. Fans started telling her what she owed them. Wilson supporters said rejecting the academy deal meant abandoning Filipino kids. Babolat fans dug up every old interview where she credited them for believing in her and framed her decision as a loyalty test she was about to fail. Nike fans argued the choice was obvious if she actually wanted a global platform. The brands made everything worse by feeding the chaos. Wilson posted an emotional video of children playing tennis on cracked concrete courts. Babolat released a behind-the-scenes film of engineers designing her custom rackets, all of it narrated with the language of devotion. Nike let their roster do the talking. Naomi Osaka reposted an old photo with Alex and captioned it simply, "Family first." Every move was calculated. Every post was designed to apply a specific kind of pressure. And through all of it, Alex said nothing. She went quiet, which the internet, of course, interpreted as weakness, as confusion, as everything except what it actually was, which was a young woman refusing to be rushed into the most consequential decision of her professional life by people who had no stake in the outcome. On February 9th, just before midnight Manila time, she posted. And when you read what she actually wrote, you understand immediately why it landed the way it did. She didn't perform composure. She didn't sound coached. She wrote like someone who was genuinely tired and genuinely honest and genuinely done pretending this whole thing wasn't affecting her. She said she was drowning in emails and legal documents and pressure coming from every direction. She said she didn't know which choice was right, and she was exhausted by people acting like she should. She said she didn't leak those documents. She said she loved tennis and she loved her country, and whatever she decided, it was going to be her decision. And then she asked everyone to let her breathe. 1 million likes in an hour, and more importantly, silence from the brands. Wilson took down their video. Babolat pulled their loyalty campaign. Nike's athletes stopped posting. For the first time in 2 weeks, the machinery of manipulation went quiet because they all realized, somewhere in those simple, honest sentences, that they had been treating a human being like a marketing asset, and she had just quietly and completely refused to accept that role. 3 days later, the announcement came. No press conference, no dramatic reveal, just a statement from her management. Alex had signed with Nike for apparel and Wilson for equipment. Babolat received a private settlement and a public thank you. The structure of the deal was something nobody had predicted because it wasn't about choosing a side. It was about building something that worked on her terms. Nike got the global platform they wanted. Wilson got the partnership and the academy commitment. Babolat got a dignified exit and, reportedly, a fair buyout. The academies in Quezon City were announced, groundbreaking scheduled for June 2026. Alex was listed not as a sponsored athlete, but as a co-founder. That detail matters more than any of the dollar figures, because it signals that she understood something about this moment that the brands were still catching up to. She wasn't just signing contracts. She was establishing what kind of athlete she intended to be. The responses from other players said everything. Serena Williams posted that she was proud. Osaka said the pressure Alex had handled that week would have broken most people. Players from across the tour, regardless of their own sponsors, came out in her defense. The WTA itself stayed quiet, which tells you something too. No rules were broken. No policies were violated. But everyone inside the sport knew that something had shifted, because what happened to Alex in those 2 weeks exposed everything that's quietly wrong with how young athletes get treated when they become valuable. The leaks weren't accidental. The social media campaigns weren't organic. The language of loyalty and legacy was being deployed strategically by corporations to manipulate a 20-year-old into a decision that served their interests. And she saw through it. Not loudly, not aggressively, but clearly. She named what was happening. She slowed it down. And she made a decision that was genuinely hers, messy and imperfect, and human, which is exactly what made it powerful. She's back on court now, training, competing, climbing. The sponsorship noise has faded, and what's left is the tennis, which was always the point. But the story doesn't fade with it. Every young player who comes up behind her will face some version of this. The bidding wars are only going to get more aggressive as the sport grows and as new markets open up and as brands realize how much cultural capital a single athlete can carry. What Alex did was show that you don't have to be a pawn in that game. You can step back. You can take the time you need. You can build a deal that reflects your actual values instead of just accepting the highest number on the table. That's not naive. That's strategy. And it's the kind of strategy that lasts longer than any sponsorship cycle. $3 billion brands went to war over one player, and the player won. Not because she had the most leverage or the best lawyers, though both probably helped, but because she refused to lose herself in the process. That's the real story. And honestly, that's the one worth remembering.